hiccups. This is going to be an ugly, ugly episode.
It'll be all the better if you have hiccups throughout it.
Yep.
Shut up and sit down.
All these Dale guys are super strong beef mountains.
Gonna ride my bicycle, no matter where I go. I'm gonna take it fast, I'm gonna take it slow. I'm gonna go over there, over that log and tree. I'm gonna take it to see you, I'm gonna take it to see me.
What's kickin' little chicken? You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Turing. Tip of the day from a quote by Abraham Lincoln. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. It's never too soon for some good old-fashioned preparation.
Can't go far on a bike with no radio star. So I strapped my Walkman straight to my handlebars. Duct tape and roses, cameras and air guitars. People laugh, people holler. I don't care. This ain't fair. It's war up there with the Mustang pantyhose. It's cold out there with their mustaches.
Woohoo, bikes.
Hi, welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I am Jake Von Turing. I'm here with Lance friggin' Hepler.
That's friggin' Hepler.
Extra frickin' because you're Bolton.
I'm extra frickin' good.
Extra frickin'.
Friggin' clean, too, this time. So
You are kind of clean shaven.
I feel better.
Do you feel naked a little bit? Which is better.
That's the normal state of affairs for me is naked.
Nudity.
Yeah.
The state of nudity.
It is Valentine's Day.
Oh,
The day for nakedness.
that's true. National
Maybe
Naked
that's
Day.
National Naked Day.
who's the Cupid in your house?
Brandy.
100%?
100%. She made like Valentine's boxes for all the kids and significant others for
That's
everybody.
awesome.
Wow.
And I got her a pat on the shoulder.
Oh, dude, did you get cold cocked after that?
No, we're 30 years into our marriage. Like Valentine's Day is like, honey, I still love you as much as I did yesterday.
Every day is Valentine's Day.
Every day is Valentine's. My wife's the best, so I can't complain.
That's good.
Who's the Cupid in your house, Matt?
I don't think either of us are super big on Valentine's Day. We're going to go out to dinner tomorrow night because, I don't know, I mean, like, we're dealing with sick kids. We got, like, get the kids off to school. Oh, yeah, it's Valentine's Day. Here's a kiss. And so it's just not a huge deal. I think I might try to... I mean, don't quote me on this. Don't record this, but I might try to like make a special dinner for her tonight when she gets off of work, and the kids can help do that, and we can maybe like make some cards. So,
Dr. Lance Hepler,
Lance Romance.
Here's my special plans for tonight.
Mystery man about town.
This is my special plan for my wife
Lance
tonight.
No Pants,
Honey,
Lance Romance.
get in the van. We're gonna drive to California. Let's go.
Maybe we'll stop at a 7-Eleven or something special.
Get you
you something special. Slim Jim.
Slim Jim.
Break off a piece of that 5-pound gummy bear?
Yes,
There you go.
right.
Love it. Awesome. Hey, we're going to do things a little bit different this week. Sorry, everybody that likes the topic last. We're not going to do that. We're going to do it first because we've got a weird timeline today. So
Matt's on a schedule.
Well,
he's busy.
I think all of us have a schedule.
No.
there is a lot of stuff going on today, kind of.
Fine, but let's throw Matt under the bus. It's my fault, guys.
So we're going to jump into our topic for the day, and then we'll finish up with all that other stuff. If you want to stick around for that, that'd be fantastic. The topic, it's all kind of like hinging on this interaction that we had with Matt last week and some things that I've watched since then and things that have popped up. And it just has my head kind of spinning, like what the capacity here. So the question or the topic will be, how will spatial computing and the Apple Vision Pro influence or affect cycling? And I guess triathlon. We can throw triathlon in there too.
And it's Apple has a very, very nice headset, but other companies too have some competitive products.
What would you say the top ones are? This is the Meta
Quest.
Yeah. And that's like what, a third of the price?
Yeah, it's much, much cheaper.
All right.
What's the Meta Quest? Is that the Zuckerberg one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
wait.
He purchased the Quest product.
Okay.
For a lot of money.
Okay.
Someone made out well.
Someone got paid.
Someone got paid. And but like then that was also at the same time that he was like, Facebook is now Meta. We're going big on VR. And then it was like, well,
and it didn't really happen.
Well, it
will get there eventually.
It is to be fair. If you are into VR gaming, which I'm not, but if you are, I love you. You're awesome. The MetaQuest is a better product. Like, price be damned. Like, it's still, there's better games, there's better options on the MetaQuest. There's more like physical stuff, like, imagine like Fruit Ninja VR or whatever, right? Like things like that. I think you want the MetaQuest. And this is just now at time of recording, February 2024. If you listen to this 6 years from now, it might be totally different. But
Right.
That's the situation.
So real quick before we dive into this, Matt, do you have any like feedback? You've been using these things for a little over a week now. What is your take on them? Best thing ever? Still a long ways to go?
I have mixed feelings on it. I do want to put together a review. The equipment is excellent. The hardware is amazing. Everything comes together, and it's a very wow experience when you have like a digital image or a window and it's sharp and it's clear and it looks like it's physically in the room with you. It is quite amazing. Like the iPad is right there. You can reach out and touch it, right? Like that's what this looks like. And you can put it anywhere and you can change the size of it and it's very cool. What's even better is like you could take it in the kitchen. You could put a window there with a timer set, and then you could like leave the kitchen, go somewhere else, come back and be like, what's the timer at? And you'll see like, oh, it's like 8 minutes left on this, whatever.
So the timer stays in the kitchen?
Everything stays really well where it's put. In fact, it does a better job than any VR headset that I've ever seen at like that piece of it, which is, if you think about like making things feel real, well, when you put something down and you come back to it, like that's kind of something that you expect from real things. So it does have this vibe of like, whoa, this stuff feels very real when you're inside of it. So that sounds positive, right?
Mm-hmm. What's the downside?
Okay, so I've had this thing probably not quite 10 days. My goal was try to use it a little bit every day, and I think I failed multiple times. Like it is just, it's not like
how do you make it work in your daily life?
Is it
That's the
still
thing.
kind of a novelty? Like I want to play with this thing and then you just kind of get over it?
So I'm talking to two very busy people, right? Like we have fun things to do. Lots of fun, cool things that we want to do in any given day, right? Like you got to get up, you got to get the kids to school, you got to, do all this stuff. Like, oh, now's not a good time to be putting on a headset. Plus, like early morning, you don't want to put a screen close to your eyes, and then late at night, I feel like the same thing. Like last night, I put it on, and I was just getting through some emails. And my wife like came into the bedroom and she's like, nope. She was so, and she told me this morning, she was like, I was pissed.
Because you were working.
Well, all I was doing was like checking emails. It's again, and I told her, I was like, I'm trying to use this thing, a little bit every day, and it's a struggle. And so,
that's one of the things, the hangups that I have with it.
Right.
It's very isolating. Because, as I know it, you and I can't both be wearing a headset and be seeing the same thing, so they're not connected. I'm sure that'll happen eventually, but you just become immersed in your own world. It's already bad enough that people are glued to their phones. Now you're going to put on goggles and you're going to have like even more like connected stuff to just you doing your thing.
Right,
It's not going to be on a phone.
It's a disconnect for sure. There are neat things about it, like just being able to have multiple windows and things like that, but I mean, I'm kind of like Jake in that like we have a nice work situation.
Sure.
And again, the situation is like when the
Poo-poo.
hits the fan and I'm like, okay, work stuff needs to get done and they need it like as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking the goggles off. I'm not like, I've got a good window. It's easier to work in a real environment with real monitors and things like that than the VR set. And poop hits the fan like every day. Like this is like, oh, I've got 3 hours to get 8 hours of work in. That's like that's such a standard thing for me that it's comical, right? Where it's like, and I try to just go work, crank it out, and it's just, it's you don't want to be like, okay, I'm putting these goggles on, I'm going to be a little less productive. Then you're shooting yourself. Like you'll never do anything that will make you a little bit less productive. You're not going to.
No, I don't have time for that. Exactly.
You don't. Yeah. And so, there's neat things about it. The thing that I'm really excited about is writing software for it.
Sure.
And I've already played around with it and it's awesome. And I'm like really excited to put like maybe 2 or 3 little apps out, like really simple stuff.
Yeah.
And so, and there's some other things like I went and I walked on the treadmill with it the other day and I was like, this is kind of cool. We'll talk about this, but it does suit itself well for biking on a trainer, sort of, because when I'm in TT position, I've always struggled to be like, okay, I'm gonna have some sort of screen on or whatever, or you're watching something, even if it's like even if you're watching Zwift, right? And it's on the table and it's here, and you're kind of like down here, and you're kind of looking up to see what's going on, and then really you should have your head in the TT position right here. With the goggles on, you put that screen wherever you want to. And so it's just a little subtle thing like, oh, I can make this really big and I can have it right here, and I'm not like looking up and straining my neck to see something. So there's little things like that are great. Where I differ from some of the reviews that are out there is like, I don't want to sweat in this thing.
Right.
I really don't.
Yeah, I watched Ray's review.
Yeah.
And he sweat quite a bit, and it seemed like they did a good job of holding up.
Right.
But again, you put Lance behind that.
I
thing.
would sweat ruin that thing in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like dead.
Yeah. I mean,
And all the little pieces cost $1 billion.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm trying to be so careful with this thing all the time. Like you see people like walking or skateboarding with it or going downtown and doing all these cool things. I'm like, I'm not taking this thing anywhere. It's too expensive. It basically needs to, like, for me, it's like, we're going to put on our kitty gloves. We're going to, move this thing to the next room.
Right.
And like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I want to use this for certain things where, like I want to review it and I want to write some software for it. Other than that, I'll definitely use it on the bike trainer, but I'll probably use it until I start to sweat and then stop, like put it somewhere else. And I'll do it probably as part of a review. I do think like walking on the treadmill, it's kind of like a sweet spot where you're like, I'm not really going to sweat that much. It's cold enough now that if I'm in my garage walking on the treadmill, like, oh yeah, I could do this and I could wear these. And I don't think I'd get a ton of work done, but I could probably, scroll through some things, maybe reply to some emails, reply to some text messages, nothing crazy. Again, to have like a keyboard and really be doing any real work, you wouldn't want to do that on the treadmill anyway.
how does the keyboard work on that?
So there's quite a few ways. So I'd say like you can think about the keyboard as you can do about 4 different ways of doing things. One, you can pull up this virtual keyboard and you can put it anywhere you want to, and you can literally push your finger through the keys. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Like typing like that. I mean, yeah,
It's one finger hunt and
one
peck.
finger, and your finger kind of goes onto the device. I can type pretty decently like that. The other way is you look at the key itself. So I'm looking at the letter F for F. This guy sitting next to me who's about to shoot off to California. Frickin' Hepler. And then you pinch your finger. You do the standard like pinch move for the Vision Pro, and it picks that up as basically as a click. And so that will work as a way to type at first. And I thought that would be faster to like look at the things, but I kept making mistakes. And go back and delete stuff. And I was like, oh, this is not efficient at all. By far, the most efficient way is you can do 2 things. You can actually have like a Bluetooth connected keyboard to the Vision Pro, and you can work normally with a mouse or not really. I mean, so you can just type with like a keyboard or whatever, or a laptop, which is actually pretty decent. You take your laptop, you expand it, and it's 4K, but the keyboard and all that stuff works on the device and across to other devices. So then at that point, you've got your computer, which you can play anything. You can have Zwift on it. You could have any sort of computer stuff. And then you have additional windows and things like that are on the Vision Pro system. And then your keyboard and mouse work across the systems.
Okay.
So not bad.
Interesting. So walking on the treadmill, okay. Some people have been riding it on Zwift, and it looked pretty cool when I was watching Ray do his thing. And he kind of said he did sweat in it a little bit. Yes. Yeah. And he worked pretty hard. And I can't remember if he said that he did or did not have the fan on because he was trying to sweat just to see how it would do.
He had them turned off.
The fan inside the goggle, or is like fan outside?
The fan outside he had turned off. The fan in the goggles, I think he has zero control over that.
So
right?
Because he said zero fogging issues there. So I think he was trying to see how much he could sweat to see if it would affect it. And it seemed like it was fine. I just don't know if that's going to be a problem over the course of time. But it was kind of neat to see around. And then you have to imagine that at some point in time, I mean, it's going to be kind of the norm, and people are going to start to develop apps for this so that when you're like on a Zwift, like if you're looking at this, like you can actually be in the game, and like you could be turning your head and looking around and looking at the riders next to you potentially, instead of it being a screen in there. Do you see it going that direction? I'm not talking about next week, next month, or next year, but actually, like the next 5 to 10 years.
Sure. Zwift could almost, they could almost flip a switch and do very immersive VR. In fact, quite a long time ago, maybe I would say like 7-8 years ago, I did Zwift in VR with a VR headset, and they actually have to have like they do this where they used to go and they went to different bike shops across the country, and they would set up these Zwift stands and they would take people through Zwift VR, but they would actually have to have like a Zwift employee almost on either side of you, and because when you turn, you get dizzy and you
tend to lean.
You tend to lean, and you basically will fall off the trainer. And
Interesting. I didn't think about that.
so
That's a good point.
and I did it, and I hopped up on there, and it was awesome. And it was like the whole time I'm biking, I'm just like this, like it's hard to do this with the microphone, but like you're looking around the whole time, and it's so gorgeous because you're seeing the Zwift world, and everywhere you turn your head, you can see, oh, there's waterfalls. Oh, there's this, there's that. Back then, there wasn't like the little, what was the little like lemur guy? Sloth. Yeah. He wasn't there yet. But
Sasquatch.
But you can,
dinosaurs.
Yeah, none of that stuff was in existence because this was quite a long time ago. But the point is, Zwift had that ready to go because, a lot of that is because it's built on this gaming engine that's all basically built and ready to go. And then all they have to do is be like, and add power, we're good. But like, it was pretty cool as a demo. But you can tell Zwift's like, yeah, we could do this. We could publish. We could, click publish, and we're good. But like, they don't want to because
People are falling off their
people are going
bikes
to fall off,
hurting themselves. Yeah,
it's just not a good experience. It's a kind of, and this kind of parallels the Vision Pro as a whole. It's like such a cool demo, such a cool experience for a short amount of time, and then you realize like, ooh, this is not something that they want to go public with. Of course, Apple went public with it, but like, I don't think that Zwift is looking, and I say that with like a bit of hesitation because there are things that they could do. You could do like a wraparound environment where the screen is really big and has a little bit of curvature to it, where you really feel like you're in it a little bit, where it's not the 3D VR where when you look this way, you see a waterfall and you lean into turns and things like that. So I think they could try to, there might be a medium, like a middle ground in there where they could kind of like do more immersive stuff, but not necessarily feel super.
What if somebody
immersive.
like a Wahoo jumped into this equation and then created something with like their kicker bike that could have a little bit of a lean to it? Not so much that you're going to fall over because you don't have the inertia like working against you, but you can maybe make it feel that way, but you're not going to fall off. I don't know if there's like a happy medium in there, but
I think it's the part that you mentioned, the inertia bit is like it's very critical in biking.
Yeah.
It's so funny like that you get on these training platforms and we spend so much time on it and you're like, oh, we're missing a big piece of this that we don't realize the physical part of like riding a bike, having the balance and all these pieces. And it has to do with the movement that you don't get on a trainer. And
you see that in people who like
Just
do most
trainers.
of their training on a trainer or on a Peloton, and then they go to ride outside and they crash.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, just because it's moving that fast is different in the real world than it is on any virtual platform. Yeah.
And there could be like if Zwift had like a straight road that never turned with, I don't know, like pretty things to look at, then like, yeah, maybe like, I don't think that it's like, it seems like a bad idea. And who knows what Zwift might just be like, yeah, we'll go for it. And people can, it'll be funny when people crash. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I have this feeling that they've had the ability to do it for so long and they haven't done it because there's a reason that they're not doing it. It's dangerous.
you have to think
It's
though
not
that
good.
with all of these devices coming out, that they're, like you said, there might be a happy medium in there. They're going to be doing something. I mean, even as it stands, just being able to pull up that screen and see like Zwift and like move your head around or like make it bigger, smaller, whatever. I mean, that's kind of cool. But to have that be more immersive, that's gonna happen. It has to happen because that's what people want. But
it's just, are you sure? Because like the more immersive is great, except for when you're moving, because you're in VR. If you're even walking on a treadmill and it's immersive, you're falling down.
Right.
I mean, it is not going to take much unless you have some sort of like hoist system
to hold you there.
Get your loins hoisted.
Okay. Do Do you remember the movie Ready Player One?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is all like that Steven
It is
Spielberg
very
movie,
much like that,
Ready
yeah.
Player One, where everybody had these virtual sets, and the really spendy ones had hoist systems, had loin hoist systems.
Loins. You gotta hoist the loins.
Where it kept them in a certain area
right.
while they were
Otherwise,
gaming.
I mean, even like with this Apple Vision Pro, they have some like immersive setups or whatever. They're really, really impressive. Last night I was just like, because I hadn't really played around with them, but like they have like, you can go to this movie theater, you can go to the Avengers Tower, and you can sit in the top of the tower, and you can watch a movie up there, or you can go to Tatooine in Star Wars, and you can watch the movie theater there. And when you look at the
cool.
when you look at the demos, you're like, oh, that's okay. But then you get in it, and you're like, holy
smokes!
Everything looks real, and you're like, because I was just sitting in bed, supposed to be doing my emails, or whatever, but I'm looking around, and like I'm
You're
looking
on Tatooine.
around, and I'm like, holy moly, it's so detailed. But at the same time, it's like, you need to be sitting, like or like the best would be like one of these chairs that we're sitting in right now, where you can kind of roll around and go around in circles and be in a safe place. But you do not want to be moving at all. In fact, there's some safety protocols on the Apple Vision Pro where it's like if you start to move, it's the world starts to zoom out, so you can be like, oh, don't run into stuff.
Okay, so then how are these working where like Ray rode his bike outside with the...
Because they're the pass-through, so you can turn pass-through on and off with a dial, so you can dial the pass-through.
Oh, okay.
And so by default, everything's real world. I could have the Vision Pros on right now, and I could see you guys because there's cameras pointing at you guys, and then there's two screens, and it would display you guys.
Yeah, you're still looking at a projected image from a little from a TV screen.
So
Yeah, exactly.
your vision is blacked out. Like the reality is, you're just seeing a screen of these people, and so it's pretty impressive at how good the pass through is. Like I feel comfortable walking around my house.
What's the latency like? Do you notice that at all?
No, you don't notice it at all. There's lots of videos of people like playing ping pong or whatever with these on. It's so impressive. It's good. The detail isn't quite what you would hope for, right? Because you're looking at a screen of people, and so if I was sitting here with you guys, you'd be fine, but it's still a screen of you guys. And then if I looked out Jake's window, I'd be like, oh, I can't really tell what that is. It's not that clear. You look at your watch or anything close at all, and you're like, oh, I need to go like this. And then it's just not quite as good because cameras don't have the either distance or like macro close view or whatever to be able to see things, whereas your eyes are really good at stuff like that. So maybe in the future that stuff would get better. I don't know. But then in Ray's situation where he's biking with it, which again, that's not smart. I think Ray would be okay with me saying that. It's just like he's biking with this thing, and one of the things I have a hard time with is seeing things that are far away because you
can't sight them. Yeah, exactly. It's just fuzzy.
You don't have the cameras aren't built for that. It would be.
And he's riding on a forest
and then he's like,
trail.
It's a forest trail in Florida on a road bike with like road tires, and it's like kind of sandy. And he's
classic Ray. He's like, now let's go really fast. I'm like, dude.
And he was doing a screen recording so that he could, basically show everybody what he was seeing when he was riding.
He's lucky he didn't kill himself.
And the screen recording stopped, and everything went dark.
It just all went dark.
And he's like, oh crap! So he didn't crash, thankfully. But
yeah, it's. The whole point is like all of the light seals and things around it, it's trying to keep any reality out from the goggles. So when those things go out, you are blacked out.
Blacked out. Yeah.
So not good. Not smart, Ray. Not smart. We'll have him on the podcast too at some point. We can talk about it because that would be fun and he'll have some good insights. I think he's going to sell his. I don't think he's going to keep it.
What about you?
No, I'm going to keep. Well,
you're going to be writing code for him, so you kind of need him, right?
I'm going to be writing code for him. I enjoy that part of it. It'll probably sit on my desk a lot and not get a ton of use, to be honest. I'd be very tempted to sell it. But the market might get flooded with these too, the post market or whatever. But I don't know. My review will probably come out and I'll just be like, this is one of the most coolest products, but like it's a firm don't buy. People should go to Apple and they should experience it for themselves for sure. They should slip them on and just go through the demos, all the wow stuff, but like leave your wallet at home. Like
how much are they?
$3,500 for the cheapest one.
Oh, really?
For the cheapest one.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe you should start renting them out.
Yeah.
There you go.
I got to
There's the
make that
business
money
model.
back.
Exactly.
Jake, you come over, $100. $100.
Okay, so to get back to the question, well, spatial computing is going to be something huge. I have a sneaking suspicion that it's going to be massive. And then if you look at where we're at in just in time with this, we're just on the forefront of this. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years. But if you think about spatial computing and then you marry that with where we're at and what's going on with AI, and you bring those two things together, these next 5 to 10 years are going to be bonkers.
Insane.
There's going to be so much that's going to change in the next 5 to 10 years. It's going to be crazy. Don't necessarily need to get into that, but how is this going to affect cycling? How are we going to use this? And one of the things that I'm very curious about is like, is there going to be like a little brother or a light version that it's not going to be the same immersive thing, but maybe they start using the same, I don't know, technology and put it into glasses. You're not looking through necessarily like a TV monitor kind of thing where it's like a camera's displaying what you're actually seeing, but you actually see. And we've seen some products come out on the market that have kind of delved into this a little bit, like, you know,
Like heads-up displays on glasses.
exactly. You have to imagine that something like that's going to come down the line. That's going to be kind of like a light version of the Apple Vision Pro.
Right.
If my whole friggin' bike computer was in my heads-up display and it didn't affect my vision, that's like, yes.
Then you
yes.
don't. You no longer need a computer, and if it's like tied to your phone, you just don't need a computer. So, is Apple going to make something that's going to be like next gen crazy stuff that like makes Wahoo and Garmin obsolete and Hammerhead? Probably not. I mean, or at least not right now. But
that's actually an interesting question, just because Apple has done some interesting stuff on the bike front. They've iterated there from their Apple Watch. You can display all of your metrics onto your phone.
Sure.
And you can use your phone as a bike computer. And it's nice. It's a beautiful display. Works well in direct sunlight. It's you look at it next to a bike computer and you're like, oh, that's big and nice. And it's, I don't know. I mean,
it's sometimes too big, but that's neither here nor there. Just,
would this end up in glasses? I think eventually, but it's just such a long way away. I think that Apple will iterate on this device. It'll get smaller. It'll change. It'll kind of flow in the direction that people would want it. Like I think they could easily get rid of the front glass and do something simpler that way, to reduce the price and things like that. Use more affordable manufacturing techniques and things, and get the weight down, because it does have some weight to it. Moving all the way to glasses seems like a big jump, because, again, very possible, and I do think that that's probably coming in the future. It's just tricky. There's some huge benefits to it, right? Like we talked about the pass-through stuff.
Yeah.
If they didn't have to worry about doing that, then then all these problems are so much better, right? Like seeing far away, biking with it, taking it running, and all of that stuff is just fantastic. You wear it all the time. That is a product that is like a home run. And my gut feeling is that like Apple is doing this product that is not a home run, with the goal of being like, we're going to iterate and we're going to have all this stuff ready to go when technology is ready 10 years from now for glasses.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not 10 years, but I don't know. And maybe they'll come up with something where there's a happy medium where you have glasses and it's the display's not quite as good, or you're not going to want to watch movies with it, but you can do, I don't know, some basic stuff.
If you just think about the stuff that you're going to do on the daily, I mean, you can kind of liken it to like, you're going to do like your heavy lifting with your computer. You're going to do some of the light lifting with your iPad. You're going to do your mobile, like on the go stuff with your phone. It all kind of works together. You have to pick the weapon of choice based on what you have going on. So yeah, I don't need Vision Pro to go out and do a bike ride, but if they had like a light version of that, just maybe not Pro or whatever, that had
glasses.
Just glasses, like I would love to have that. You could use that for daily life, for doing just about anything and everything.
Right.
I wouldn't want people to necessarily see what I'm seeing. I think that might be kind of weird, but I don't.
It's so tricky because the amount of technology currently, like they've got this thing jam packed with it has an M2 processor. It's like it's basically as powerful as this laptop, and it's in a lot of ways more powerful because it's got two processors in there. It's got an M2 and like what they call the R1 processor, where it's handling all like multiple cameras and depth sensors, and it's figuring all this stuff out so that it can display things and put things in certain places and remember locations. So it's got a lot of tech in there. It is a thick device that is heavy. So how long is it going to take for that to get to the point where they can put it in glasses? Seems like a long time.
I don't know.
I
Just
think they need to
think about how far they've come just in the last 10 years alone.
10
And
years. Yeah.
So I'm going forward 10 years. It's going to be
don't know. I mean,
bonkers.
phones-
But I think that a lot has happened or will happen, or there's so much going on right now with, like big advancements in like the hardware and then big advancements in the software, and they're pushing the industry and people are trying to be competitive. And there's all of that stuff is driving innovation, and it's going to make it, I think, happen a lot faster than we think it is.
I think a lot of people are complaining about the battery pack, where you connect this battery pack and you have this cord hanging off of you, and you put the pack in your pocket. And it's it's a huge complaint for people, and it feels very like un-Apple. It's not very clean, and I don't disagree with that. My counter argument is like, no, they need to offload more to that pack. They need to have it be lighter weight. If you want to get to glasses, you got to offload that processor, offload batteries. You can't have glasses that are massive. The glasses need to be somewhat lightweight, right? So you're going to have to offload all of that somewhere
into a pack.
It seems like it.
And a pack already is as big as a cell phone or bigger, and
bigger.
it probably needs to be double or triple that size.
Yep. If they wanted to use similar technology, and who knows what they'll do. I think the rumors are for like glasses and stuff that they're working with, that it would be like kind of tethered to your phone, where the phone actually does a lot of the heavy lifting, and then the glasses just are like
Protection.
a light little display.
Yep.
But I don't know if Apple would do a mediocre product, or if they would like try to get the vision technology in something like a pair of glasses. Don't know.
I think that would be a home run.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. And I think it will be, but I just think that we're a long ways off.
Define long ways, Matt LeGrand.
10 years.
10 years? You think it's that far, huh?
I don't know. It's a cool experience. You're like, you look at it and you're like, yep, this is the future. Yep, this is the future. It's not the present. Because it's like, okay, the UI and how you interact with things, it's all very good, and you can tell it'll get better over time, but it's just like, man, those headsets, no one's going to want to wear those headsets.
Yeah. Well, the headset's been kind of a long time coming. They've been talking about this for some time now, and they launched it. It just landed in people's hands, within the last 2 weeks?
Yeah.
But you have to imagine that they're well into already working on the version 2, Gen 2 of this thing.
Yeah.
And
supposedly there's like a Apple Vision Air would be like the next product name, which is rumors, right? Where it would be a lighter weight version.
Sure.
At a lighter price. Makes a lot of sense. And I think that there's a lot of things that they could get rid of, and I don't think anyone would be too upset about it.
Yeah.
The big glass display across the front.
Yeah,
like,
that's
you can
just
lose
unnecessary.
it.
That It's more of a novelty thing, like, look at my eyes.
Yeah. And
you
I
don't
think
need
Apple's
that.
realized like that,
Well,
we're launching with this, but
They
we're not
made a
gonna
big
go
splash,
for it.
and they sold a lot of these things. They
Yeah, they
made
did.
a crap ton of money.
But how many people Apple has a 14-day return policy. How many people return them?
That's a good question. I
And
don't
I
know.
bet you it's massive.
And they won't disclose that number, but I'm sure people will start to like chime in.
I mean, if it was 10%, that would be insane. That would be massive for a product. And I bet you it's much more than that.
You think so?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's my gut feeling. I think so. I've been watching this space a lot, and there's just a lot of people that buy it. They get it home. Similar experience to me, right? Where they get it home and they use it, and it's like, oh, there's this problem and this problem and this problem, and I'm not using it as much as I thought I would. Or they kind of get sold on the promise, like, oh, I'm going to work in this thing and I'm going to have multiple monitors, and it kind of is okay at some of that stuff. Or like, this is going to be my best. This is going to be my best theater room / movie watching thing. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of like that, but it's not perfect. It's like, it's just not there yet. And I think all these people that are returning it are like, I'll get my money back. And when they come up with version 2 or 3, I'll buy it again.
Yeah, I did read an article that alluded to the fact that even like Apple employees that were speaking like candidly were saying this thing is not going to be perfect until Gen 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be something that you're really going to want to go out and spend your money on until you get to that point. Up until then, I mean, it's got some great upsides like you've talked about, but for me, it's a pass. Like, do I want to put one on and play with it?
Come
Absolutely.
over and totally like do the demo thing. Let it like I said, leave your wallet at home, but like you'll see stuff and it's like, oh, this is really cool. There, the demo that I think everyone would want to do would be like, there's this dinosaur and it comes right at you. My wife was like on the couch and she was like freaking out. Like she's like, oh, like it's very real. But I don't think she's put it on since because there's not like a I mean, again, she's busy. She's so busy.
Yeah.
that,
A
there's
big
no reason
upside
to
for
do it.
those things right now, for me at least,
Yeah.
is like if you're traveling, if you're going on
Yep.
a long plane flight and you want to sit there and watch movies in like a theater. Well, that's another question I have for you. Like, does it have speakers on it? Do you have
Yeah.
to pair it with like some AirPods, or
You
can
if you have the latest Apple AirPod Pros, you can pair it and it will do some spatial audio stuff that's really impressive. But it has speakers that are spatial audio speakers that are built into it. They're kind of on the band.
Can
and they're good.
everybody hear those though?
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a problem. You don't want that when you're on a plane or sitting in bed and someone's sleeping next to you and you're trying to watch a movie. Like you don't want that. So you got to put something else in
They're
there.
not super loud. I don't feel the need to put headphones on most of the time. Like if I'm using this, I'm trying to use it by myself. I'm not trying to use it in front of people.
That's fine. But
So,
like if your
you're on
wife's
the
there,
plane-
if your wife's there and she's doing something else or reading a book or something like that, she's not going to want to hear what's going on in your headset, right?
Right. I think my wife's at the point now where she's not going to want to be around me when I like last night was bad. She was
She
just,
just
like,
walked in and went, nope.
she was angry this morning too.
That's hilarious.
She was mad. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's some just really cool things that the content that's made specifically for it is so good. It's like I watched this. I'm not like an Alicia Keys fan or anything like that, but I watched this thing where she basically did like a rehearsal, and they had these like different cameras around the studio that she was in, and man, it is impressive. You're like, oh, you can see the like. I mean, it's just like so detailed. It's so 3D. And you're walking around, you just feel like you're sitting in the studio. And like you see, like when she's close to the camera, you're like, oh, you can just see her skin and like the pores on her skin. Like you're like, everything's very clear. And the music was good. And I was just using the speakers that are built into the headset. I was like, wow, this is super impressive. And the more stuff that they record using that technology, the better of a sales piece this is, to where it's like, no, there is content.
Yeah.
And there's not a ton of content right now. It's like another one of my issues with this thing is there's not a ton of content, but like the content that they have is really impressive. There was another one where this girl was in Norway and she was doing like what do they call it when they do the tightrope walking? Like, I don't know.
Slackline?
Slacklining.
Yeah.
And man, the drone work that they had, or however they filmed it, some of it I was like, how do they film this? But it was so good. And you can just look around, like you can just be like, I'm looking off a cliff, and you know, it's very impressive.
Did you ever deal with any vertigo or anything like that?
I've been feeling okay. There's definitely times where I don't like. There's things like when you have these screens that are close to your eyes and you're like, oh, it's nighttime. And if you're watching a movie or something like that, then you've got flashing things. And I just don't think that that's good for you. That's my feeling.
There's
There's
a lot to be said about that as well. Like, what are the long-term studies going to come out and say? I mean, it's already bad enough, like how it's changed our psychology and it's changed our sleeping habits and all of these other things that have come out as being problematic with phones.
Yep.
How is this going to affect that?
I just think like you have these two high resolution screens and they're basically here. They're basically, what is that? An inch and a half away from your eyes.
Sure.
And it's remarkably good, but I don't think flashing lights. I'm just thinking, I'm looking at this stuff where I'm like, you know, do I want to put this on in the morning? No. Do I want to watch a movie tonight? No. You know, like I'd almost rather have my phone at like an arm's distance in some ways. I don't know. I think a lot of us are like, wow, that the higher resolution, having this huge big screen. A lot of people are, you know, the percentage of people that watch our YouTube stuff, it's all on the phone, right? It's like, what is 80% of the people are just watching on our phone or whatever. It's like they could go watch it on their TV, but that's, you know, a trip down to the living room to watch it.
There's a lot of people that are watching YouTube on TV now. It's like
I
it's a
agree.
lot bigger than you would think. I was just watching some statistics or a show on that, but it's crazy. But
Which is good for us. I mean, like we put a lot of effort into these videos. We're doing 4K videos, and it's best if you watch it on the TV. But when it's convenient to watch it, like my last video, did you watch it on the phone? You probably did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
It's very
possibly
convenient.
my laptop too. But
Maybe.
Yeah, it's crazy. You need to get going here pretty soon.
Yes,
I know that, Matt.
past my prime.
Exactly. Do you want to do one last thing, or do you have anything else that you want to say about this before Lance and I talk behind your back when you leave?
I would suggest people check it out and see what they think. I will try to get a review out. I'm hoping that I'll have multiple videos. One of the big questions that I had for this was like, what's it like for working? And so I wanted to just make that video, even though it doesn't have as much to do with my channel as some of the other content. But I will do like what are the exercising apps that you can actually use this with this thing. Currently, Zwift has selected not to actually allow their application on this device. There's ways around it, but like,
you can just run it on your laptop. Pull the laptop. But why would they opt to not do that? Is it part of that whole safety concern?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them. I think that a lot of people were just a little bit scared and they didn't want to just throw their stuff up. In case,
just kind of sit back and wait and see if it takes and see if it's necessary. Because it's an inherent cost for them to have to do that, I'm guessing, at some point.
But My Rovi was on there, which is another app, and I downloaded that immediately.
Yep.
And, so like hopefully today I can get on the bike trainer and maybe film myself, doing some of that. I do think I'll film myself on the treadmill again. I think people are curious, like, what's this like for exercise? I'm happy to go over those details with people in a video. My bigger question was like, can you get work done with this thing? And the answer is kind of, sort of, but
Not efficiently.
Kind of, sort of, but it's not great.
Yeah. Can you just speak real quick?
Yep.
And this is something that I've have a curiosity about.
Sure.
People have said it's not that big of a deal, but the weight of it. Do you feel that weight on your neck? Does it feel like it's putting a strain on your head?
There's different headsets that come with it, and you can tell that Apple really wanted the one that looks the best to actually work well. And that's a really nice band that goes straight around the back of your head, and it's awesome. It doesn't take enough of the weight off of the front of the device. There's another band that has like a strap that comes across the top, and that one works better. The weight's been okay for me. It's with the other band that's kind of the nicer band that they're right that people are right that that's not a good option for people, and so people are going to end up using the kind of cheaper strap option. I actually saw that there's a group of people that are actually buying an extra one of those really nice straps and strapping it across the top. So it's basically like two nice straps as opposed to that. And I think that would be extremely comfortable. I do think that, if you can get the fit okay, you could do a long day in it. You could probably do a 5 or 8 hour day with those things on. It's not something I would recommend. I think typically after 45 minutes, you're ready to be done. So
it's about 600-ish grams-ish, somewhere in there?
I don't remember.
I think that's what I heard somewhere, but
probably depends there's all these pieces that kind of the light seals and things like that. They're like magnetically attached. So it depends on like how much stuff you take off and put on, and then the size of there's different sizes of things. Mm-hmm. So it's probably somewhere between like 600 and 700, depending on which size piece you choose.
Yeah.
So we can look at that.
One other question. How long does the battery last?
It's not that great. Depends on what you're doing. If you're watching a movie, it's about 2.5, 3 hours. If you're, multitasking and doing a lot of things, I think you're burning through more battery, with multiple windows and things like that. Could be as low as 2 or 2.5 hours. But you can like either daisy chain a, battery pack to the battery pack, or you can plug directly into the wall and give you a little bit more battery life.
So if you're sitting at your desk, you can stay plugged in, keep it topped off, and then
you're connected to a cord that's connected to the wall at that point.
Yeah, but if you have to get up, just disconnect and go, right? Right.
Yes, and there's other things like, this happened to me last night, where it's like if you have the battery pack in your pocket, which you might do, and then you put the headset down to go to the bathroom or something like that. That packet's still in your pocket, you're going to drag your expensive headset across the room if you forget to take it out of your pocket. So lots of little things about having a tethered battery or being tethered to the wall that are not ideal.
Correct.
So,
do you love it?
No.
I
like it, and it's a wow experience, and I don't regret the purchase. But it's one of those things where I'm fairly confident that people should skip it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wait for future iterations or just skip it altogether?
No, I think wait for future iterations because they're going to fix some stuff in software, which is going to really help a lot. And then the next version will be significantly better. They'll figure some stuff out. 3 or 4 versions down the road will be a good product. Again, I still wonder, like, even after 3 or 4 years, is it like some of the fundamental problems where you're like, yeah, but I still don't want to work in this thing. Like, you just end up being like, one of those things that's like awesome product, but it's missing that, like, it's not serving a purpose where you're more productive with it.
Exactly. If it makes you more productive and it makes your work process more enjoyable, that's when people will push forward into that.
Yeah.
I don't think
like your phone makes you more productive. Absolutely. You can answer emails, you can get stuff done, you can respond to text messages and things like that. And this product, in my opinion, doesn't make people more productive. And I should say, like, if you're writing software for it, then that's kind of weird, but or if you're like working in 3D, then absolutely there might be some things where being able to see it with a lot of detail would be really nice, and this would be able to do that for you. So
the code or the software that you're going to write for, is it going to be a self-serving thing? Is it something that you definitely
little things that I want, nothing big.
Anything that you can disclose, or are you going to make us wait?
Well, the one thing that I've written already is like just a shelled out YouTube app where you can have your own YouTube app right now. So when it launched, there's quite a few companies that selected to not be a part of it. So like YouTube, Netflix, Spotify, a whole bunch of companies are just like, yeah, no, I don't want to be a part of this. And so I made a YouTube app. And so now instead of using the browser, you can use the YouTube app. So
that's kind of cool.
It's okay. I can put it out there and it's free for people to download if they have a Vision Pro. Check it out.
Did you already put it out?
No, I haven't put it out yet. But I need to like make an icon for it and post it and go through the Apple approval process and things like that. But I don't even know. Maybe Apple won't approve that. I don't know if that goes against any of their rules. I don't know. We'll find out. But I'm just gonna see what happens. But I do think that YouTube will turn around and be like, yeah, we'll make an app for this. It's not going to be that hard for them to do.
Yeah. Well, spatial computing is going to be something that's going to be massive, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's just like the more I think about it, it kind of gets my head spinning. And the things that you could potentially do with this, if they can hit those marks, I think it's going to be massive. And again, if you marry that to AI, we're kind of in a renaissance of both areas. Like,
there was someone I was having a discussion with, and they're like, I think tech is going to be really slow the next 10 years. And I looked at him and I was like, dude, AI is about to explode. Like, it's explode. In 2023 was a big year for AI. I was like, it's going to get everywhere. I mean, it is everywhere, and it's going to be massive.
It already is, and people just don't even know it. I mean, it's
everywhere.
It's viral in terms of like how it's spreading and being used in different applications, and we're just at the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
you marry that to spatial computing, and we're going to be living in the future very, very soon.
My gut feeling is that spatial computing is cool, and that it will be a very neat interface in 10 years, like I said. But I think AI is massive.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I don't disagree with you. I think it's much bigger.
Just a different scale than spatial computing.
And it's just going to be crazy to see how these things come together and what it's going to do to the world. It really is going to be bonkers.
Yeah, it's going to be wild.
It's a fascinating conversation.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I love seeing this stuff, and sometimes it kind of irks me a little bit. Like there are certain facets of AI that kind of upset me.
Yeah.
Setting aside all of like your deep fakes and the way people
a lot
are
of problems.
One of the things that I really don't like is how AI is used in stuff like videography and photography to help people not learn the process of what really goes into taking a good picture and making sure that it's edited right. Like, there's so many people now.
Are you a Luddite that's just like, hey,
no.
Everything needs to be on film. You need to learn how to process film. You need to be in dark rooms.
Not at all. Not at all.
Because maybe you are.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. There's something lost to it.
There's a certain element that is lost to it, right? Like, because we went through the trenches. Like, I used to have a dark room when I was making, I did photography at the university, and it was like, you could do cool things in the dark room, and now you're like, everything is easy to do in Lightroom, but then you learn all of those tools, and then like maybe AI is this next tool where...
I guess I should have been a little bit more specific. Like, you go out and you take a beautiful picture, and someone else can go take a beautiful picture, or just an okay picture. But yeah, they just go and they can generate like like all this stuff that you can do with Photoshop and these other apps now, just to plug in like, oh, I want the trees to look this way, and I want the sky to look like that. Wasn't the picture you took. That's just an AI generated version of what you think that picture could be. I mean,
Right. Sky replacement is a classic example,
yeah,
right? Where it's like, no, sunset wasn't really like that.
yeah, people use that stuff, and that's the kind of stuff that irks me a little bit. Like, I have no problem using Lightroom. I mean, you're basically going out and you're going to capture this beautiful composition, and you get great, dynamic range in that, and having the ability to go take what you took in front of your computer and then tweak it, make it look like what you saw in your eye.
Yeah.
I don't like the whole, like, let's take an HDR photo. We're getting in the weeds here. Take an HDR photo and like, you're kind of pushing everything to the limits, and like these colors that just, they exist obviously, but that's not what it really looks like. That stuff kind of bothers me a little bit, but I just don't like the generative fill stuff per se. It is kind of nice sometimes for some of your pictures to take things out, but when people start adding things in, I'm like, yeah, come on, man. That's not the way that picture was supposed to be. Sorry. Weeds.
That was a rant.
Weeds. That was a rant.
Yeah. Anyway,
You guys come over sometime, try this thing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be over there soon.
Maybe not when my kids are all like sick, but as soon as they're on the mend.
Do you got one last thing for us before you jet out of here?
Check out the YouTube channel. I'm going to post a top 10 GPS watches video soon. And then I'll probably get into some of this Apple Vision Pro review stuff. Like I said, I want to make something for kind of sports side of things, where we're talking about like the apps that are available for bike trainers and, what you could potentially do on a treadmill or whatever. And then probably a different video that's like, is this thing functional for work? Kind of want to take on those two topics. Cool. I'll talk about more stuff like the things that I think Apple should fix right away and stuff like that too. So probably quite a few videos coming up talking about the Vision Pro, because
I'm excited to see you spread out a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I thought about that. I'm like, I don't think I should be talking about this topic, but because it doesn't fit my channel. But then I'm like, who cares? Just talk about whatever I want to.
There will be crossover there at some point in time. There will be a sports application, and people are curious about this stuff, and you do a really good job with it. So I'm proud of you. Kudos.
I thought Ray's video was really good.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm not doing that. But good for Ray for doing it.
Right on. Cool. All right. Thanks, Matt.
All right.
We'll catch you later. Hey, Lance. What do you want out of spatial computing? How's that going to make your cycling experience even better?
You want to take it on the road.
That's right. Just drive it. I'm still learning about all this stuff. It's not as intriguing to me because I am prone to sickness. I'm prone to motion sickness.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. So,
like, I go to Disneyland or to Universal Studios, I don't ride the virtual rides.
Star Tours is like a no-go for you?
Yeah, it is a no-go.
I think that gets everybody just a little bit, to be completely honest with you. But, the Vision Pro, like, I'm not thinking that that's something that we're going to be wanting to use while we're on a bike. If there's a glass version, like a sunglass version of that, where we can start to have everything in a heads-up display,
and normal vision.
In normal vision, there's something there.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been things in the past. There have been like you and I were talking about this before the podcast. Like Garmin came out with this thing that you could clip onto your glasses, and it paired with your computer, and it would give you like a projected thing up on your glasses. It looked stupid. It was kind of clunky. I don't know how well it worked. I think I sold one of them to somebody, and I don't think that person even used it for all that long.
Yeah.
But there is a need there. Like if you had something though, where you don't have this, like if you could somehow get some glasses or have something that attaches to the glasses that's very subtle, that somehow displays the smarter people will figure this out.
Sure.
And you could have like all of your speed and your heart rate monitor and your power meter, all that stuff. And then like you can somehow,
would be fantastic.
If you could tie in like the Garmin radar and the camera in there, if you could have like a little heads up display of like the car coming up behind you.
What's the car doing behind you? That'd be great.
That would be incredible. Like if you could have that stuff out there, or if you've got like maybe like a virtual coach that's in your peripheral that you can hear and see or whatnot. They're like, hey, here's just get that up. You're just kind of coaching along down the road. Something like that might be kind of neat.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff with cycling, but that's different than spatial
computing, sort of.
But
there's
a heads-up display kind of stuff could be very cool.
But maybe your glasses can do the spatial computing to a certain degree, and maybe you can turn that off for when you're out there on your ride, so that you're just maybe getting the information that you want to see. You don't want to be watching movies and stuff like that when you're out riding because you're going to be distracted. But I don't know. I think that there's a play there. I don't know if that qualifies as spatial computing. Maybe. But I see that what they're doing with the Apple Vision Pro and being able to, make everything smaller and have this crazy immersive experience. I see things being able to spin off of that are going to be a huge win for the cycling community. Matt alluded to the whole vertigo issues with, like the people in Zwift doing their whole VR deal. I don't know. I see what he's saying. I would want to try it and see if, like, all right, is this just some like schmo that just doesn't have any balance and they're going to fall off of their bike, or can you counterbalance some of these things without, like, having people feel like they're actually going to fall off if they're leaning into something? I don't know, but I think that there's something there for riding indoors as well. Like, if you can negate the whole sweat factor and then be immersed inside of a ride, and what you're looking at is like a road, and I don't know if I would necessarily want this in like Zwiftland, but if it was more of like, like seeing actual real world stuff, like you're riding and you're using like Google Maps.
Dude, not only that, but what if you could watch something like, I'm in the middle of the peloton in the final 5K of a sprint stage.
Sure.
How crazy would that, if you could see that in 3D virtually, what that would actually be like?
Yeah.
That would be a very cool experience. Taking people scuba diving that have never, that aren't in a position where they could go scuba diving and having that kind of experience. Skydiving, those types of things could be really cool in this.
That would be
field.
great for the people that can't. So like, let's say they're handicapped or they're just not able. I don't want people to start thinking that they're having these experiences and they're just turning into this bump of or just this blob of flesh sitting on their couch. It's like was it WALL-E?
It was WALL-E.
Yeah, I don't want it. I don't want that. Exactly.
Their bones shrunk because they quit moving.
Yeah. But you start thinking about too, like, lactate monitors and all of the different things that you can have and know exactly what's going on with your body, and
glucose monitoring.
And you're training and you're getting all of this stuff in the heads up display, and it's just displayed right there. You don't have to like scroll through pages on your bike computer, or I'm sure at some point in time too, the AI that's going to be managing it, or whatever the ability for it to recognize your voice. If you say, hey, pull up this, and it pulls it up right away, that's the stuff that I want. Or, hey, I don't want to see my heart rate right now because I don't want to be reminded that I'm about ready to puke, that kind of stuff. It just
removes it.
Yes. Yeah. And it knows your voice so that, Lance doesn't roll up next to you and say, turn on this, and then rolls or screwing with you.
How much longer to the top of this climb?
Yeah.
Or, what's the weather like in, 30 miles over if I head that direction?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff would be really cool.
Based on your current riding conditions, your heart rate, your power output, and the wind, and all these other things, this is how long it's going to take you to get to the top of this climb, or this is how long it's going to take for you to finish this segment, just to give you much more detailed information. That stuff is the stuff that I absolutely want to see, and it's the stuff that I love. And I think I was starting to say this before, but like, that's one of the things that I get. Obviously, like, we're all going to die at some point. We're all going to leave this earth. We're get an expiration date. Who knows when that's going to be? And obviously you're going to miss your family and all this stuff. But these are like some of the things that also make me a little bit sad about dying. Is like, I want to see where technology goes. I want to see what people are able to come up with. I want to see how these things apply. And I just think about. I was just thinking about this the other day when I was watching that video from Raymaker on DC Raymaker of like just how far things have come in like the last 5.5 years. And the reason why I say 5.5 years, because it was about 5.5 years ago that we lost Michael Myers. And like if he were to come back and say, dude, here's everything that's happened in the last 5 years. I mean, it's like pandemics aside, but think about just all the technology and the things and how far we've come in the last 5 years. That makes me think that it's just coming faster and more furious, and we're going to see even more stuff like much sooner. Like Matt's saying 10 years. I don't know if I necessarily agree with him. He's always a little bit conservative when it comes to that kind of stuff, and sometimes he's right. But I think at some point you have to understand that like it's going at quantum speed right now, and I think that we're going to see stuff a lot sooner. And I don't think we're quite ready for it. I think it's going to be going faster than people are ready for. So anyway, it would be pretty cool to say, hey, Michael, this is all the stuff that's happening. But for me, I don't want to like, oh crap, if I'm not here in 10 years, like what am I going to be missing out on? I want to know what did people come up with? This stuff fascinates me. So I don't know. Is there anything else though that you would love to see from this, from a cycling perspective?
I think those things we talked about already could really make a difference in how you ride and how you raced too. We talked about this before. How cool would it be if you're in a race and your heads-up display had like beta information on all the racers around you.
Ooh.
And you could look and see, okay, this guy has won this race, and this race. So that's a wheel that you need to follow or not let get away.
Yeah.
Or somebody jumps and attacks and it will immediately say threat or not threat. Right? How cool would that be?
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. There also is the question too, like if you have this kind of tech. Now, I don't think that you're ever going to get the information on the other people like you're thinking.
No.
That's just like a pipe dream, maybe in like Zwiftlander. But in general, like if you had all of that information in your heads-up display and you had all of these different monitors connected to you and you've got the wherewithal to purchase these things, does that become an inherent advantage for you over the other people that shouldn't be allowed? Or are you good with that? Or...
Yeah, that's...
I mean, because you're going to have more data and you're going to have a better understanding of what's going on with your body. And like some of these things that we've talked about aren't legal with the UCI yet. I don't know. Is that fair for the people, the haves, to have these things and the have-nots to not have them and have to go race against you?
No, it wouldn't be fair.
Crazy.
But I'm spitballing here.
I could go on for days talking about all of this stuff because it's highly interesting to me. Going back to that Apple Vision Pro thing, I absolutely don't want one right now. I don't want the Gen 2. Probably don't even want the Gen 3 maybe, but Gen 4, I might be thinking about that. I need to go check that out, though. I'm going to go over to Matt's house and snag that.
I want to check it out, too. Yeah,
but
it's pretty
I
interesting.
do think, though, that there's a lot to be said about spatial computing. If you aren't paying attention, start paying attention. And that's going to be a whole new thing that we're going to learn. I mean, the iPhone, when did that first come out? 2007, I think it was. I think my oldest daughter was like 1. So what was that, 16, 17 years ago?
Yeah.
Just think about how far that thing has come.
It's changed dramatically.
And
for
how
sure.
it's changed. It's just changed the world. And this whole next phase of spatial computing, that's just a whole new thing that, I don't know, there's a lot of good there and there's a lot of bad.
Yeah.
We don't need to go into that any further, but that is what it is. On that note, hey, we didn't backpedal really. Why don't you backpedal for us real quick, Lance?
I don't have a whole lot to backpedal about. I'm still getting over this sickness, although I do feel a whole lot better. I did a wonderful outside ride with Coach Ian Gibson yesterday. Was that yesterday?
It was.
Yeah, it was yesterday because the sun was out. We're recording this on a Wednesday. The sun was out and Ian came over. We went for like a 30-mile ride and
Where'd you guys go?
we rode up Prune Hill and then out towards the Blueberry Hill area. It was like a tour of Clark County. I took Ian on all these like little back roads of Clark County that had little sharp climbs because, I don't know, we felt like doing that. So we had a good time.
A couple of roll
Thanks,
ears
Ian.
out there punching.
That's what we were doing.
Yep. Cool.
That's pretty much it. I rode on Zwift the other day. I'm just getting ready for training camp.
Sweet. I don't have anything to backpedal. I went to the gym a couple times. That's it. Moving on. Hey.
Champ Bailey.
What's up, Champ Bailey?
Champ Bailey here. There has been some racing that happened. The Tour of Oman has happened. Adam Yates ended up winning the Tour of Oman.
Oh.
He won a stage and did pretty well. Guess who else won a race?
Who's that?
Mark Cavendish.
Oh, I saw that. Freaking asshat.
He did. He his lead out train got some practice in, and he ended up winning a race. So kind of very cool.
Who else was there, though? Who did he beat?
There wasn't really a lot of other people there. No. So yeah. So that's what you would say. So, but good for him that his legs are working and he beat the whole field. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. There's really not a whole lot else to talk about in bike racing at the moment. People are getting ready. The Tour of Portugal, it's called the Algarve. I think that starts in a couple days, and there's some big hitters that are going to be there. So that's kind of an early season race that we should see what happens. So that could be exciting.
Do you have any information on the dates of the monument races? Do you happen to know what the calendar is and when those are going to be coming?
I do not.
They should be coming up relatively soon. I'm so chomping at the bit to watch some racing, and I know that we're just around the corner, and I know that it's going to make me super sad watching these guys race, and I'm not going to be able to go out there and do it, but I'll get there eventually.
They don't really start till April. So Paris-Roubaix is in April 6th. Liège-Bastogne-Liège is April 20th. Tour of Flanders is March 30th. So
Okay.
Tour of Flanders is before Paris-Roubaix. Milan San Remo's not till June.
Okay.
So,
Yep. But there's some other good races coming up too.
yes.
So right on. Thank you, champ.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Let's jump into one last thing. Go for it.
I'm headed to training camp here within a couple hours, which is why we are
Recording on a Tuesday.
recording on it's Wednesday.
Or Wednesday. See, I'm always screwed up in the head.
Whatever day it is.
It's all a big blur, dude. It's the movie Groundhog's Day for me. Seriously, every day I
everything
wake
the
up,
same.
and it doesn't matter what day of the week it is. It could be Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, Monday. It doesn't matter. It's all the same.
It all feels the same. Yeah, so I'm headed down. There's 16 or 17 teammates that are coming. We're going to San Diego County. We're going to ride all week is the plan. So it should be interesting. We've got some different new things happening this year at training camp. So we'll see how that all goes.
Sweet. Are you going to take some swim trunks too for all that rain you're getting down there?
It's
going to be a warm rain though.
Weather
Ish.
does not look good for a couple days down
Yeah.
there. So we might end up driving a couple hours to try to find desert climate that doesn't have
Cross your
any
fingers.
rain. So we'll have to see. Yes,
Yeah.
it could be ugly. But it is supposed to be like, if it's raining, it's still going to be like 65 degrees, which is
You guys
the idea.
obviously are all used to riding in the rain. It's funny when you go down to Southern California, nobody rides when it rains.
Right.
Nobody rides. Like you're looked at like funny, like, oh my gosh, you rode outside and it was sprinkling. You're like, yeah. But when you get down there, nobody rides.
nobody rides.
Like for good reason on the dirt side of stuff because they don't want to destroy the trails, and that's
Yes.
kind of like a mandate from all parks and rec and whatnot. You're not allowed to go out there, and they have a certain number of days per like however much rain you get that you have to wait, and so on and so forth. And that's all fine and well, but on the road, nobody rides.
goes.
Nobody rides out there, and then you guys are going to be out there like orange training it down the road.
We will be orange training it if that's
Should
the
be
case.
fun.
So anyway, that's all for me.
Right
Jake?
on. I really don't have much of a one last thing. Just going to reiterate again, we've got the Michael Myers Memorial Time Trial coming up on March 9th, I think it was.
Yep.
And we've already got a bunch of people that have signed up for it. That's great. We've had a ton of stuff come through from different companies and sponsors and people supporting the event. The silent auction is going to be fantastic. We're going to have a bunch of stuff to give away for,
Excellent.
Podium prizes and the raffle that we're going to do. Everybody that registers for the race will get a raffle ticket. If you win or get on the podium, you get another raffle ticket, and then you can purchase raffle tickets. And we've got stuff from all kinds of major brands. It should be hopefully bigger than years past.
Oh,
And
cool.
years past have been pretty spectacular. So get yourself signed up and start training. And hopefully we'll see you out there. So
Cool.
All right, man, you're going to go jump in your van and do your van tripping down to San Diego after you're done working on a little bike thing. So just drive safe. The weather's going to be kind of tonight.
Yeah, not so good.
Not so good. I think south of here it should be fine, but here in the Columbia River Gorge area, we're supposed to get some
We might
wet
get some
snow tonight.
Yeah.
So
Well, and if there's a mountain pass between Oregon and California that I might not cross until it is safe to do so.
yeah, just
So,
drive safe, dude.
Will do.
And be safe down in California too. Say hi to all my friends and family down there in the Fallbrook area. Be safe. I've just got this feeling like I'm not going to be there to help make sure everybody makes the best decisions and all these
Right.
other things. I just don't want anybody to get hurt. So just be safe. That's all I'm saying. So,
Thank
all right. Thank you for listening. We will be back next week with another one of these. And until then, bye for now.
Did you ever find Bugs Bunny attractive when he'd put on a dress and play a girl bunny?
No. No.
Neither did I. I was just asking.